Where you're from, you may be an apostate, but here, you'd be landed gentry.
From Ryan Gosling possibly joining the galaxy far, far away, to the highly anticipated return of Andor in Season 2, we've got a lineup of some of the biggest Star Wars projects heading our way in 2025 and 2026. So let's jump right in and see what's coming up, shall we? Star Wars Andor Season 2, April 22nd, 2025. This is the one fans have been waiting for. While the overall Star Wars lineup in 2025 might not be overflowing, it's tough to complain when we're finally getting the second season of Andor. Honestly, for many fans, this show stands as the best thing Disney has done with Star Wars so far. And now, Season 2 is officially set to premiere in April 2025. Season 1 laid the groundwork, showing us how a young and jaded Cassian Andor slowly became radicalized and joined the early Rebel Alliance. But Season 2? That's where things really start to ramp up. It's going to focus on the missions and sacrifices Cassian makes in the lead-up to Rogue One, showing how he became the man who'd eventually risk it all for the rebellion. And because we're getting closer to the events of Rogue One, some familiar faces are coming back. Alan Tudyk returns as K2SO, the dry-witted droid fans fell in love with. We'll finally get to see how he and Cassian first crossed paths. Plus, Ben Mendelsohn is slipping back into his Imperial uniform as director Orson Krennic, which is exciting for anyone who loved the original movie's gritty tone. Season 2 structure will be a little different too. The show's going to jump through time, with the final stretch of episodes landing just days before the start of Rogue One. So no, we won't be getting a Season 3, but that's okay. This season promises to wrap up Cassian's arc in a way that stays true to the show's deep, character-driven vibe, while still painting a broader picture of how ordinary people helped ignite a galaxy-wide rebellion. Star Wars Tales of the Underworld, May 4th, 2025. The trailer for Tales of the Underworld looks slick, and if you ask me, it's probably hiding a few surprises. The spotlight's on two beloved characters from the animated Star Wars world, Asajj Ventress and Cad Bane. Both are fan favorites with long, complicated histories, and now they're finally getting their own mini-arcs in this new series. The format's pretty familiar if you've seen Tales of the Jedi or Tales of the Empire. This time around, we're getting 3 episodes that dive into Ventress's life during the Dark Times, and 3 more that go deep into Cad Bane's early days. But let's be honest, there's likely more going on here than they're letting on. See, both Ventress and Bane have had key storylines that were never fully told. Ventress's story in particular took a wild turn in the Dark Disciple novel, which showed her falling in love with Jedi Master Quinlan Vos during a mission to take out Count Dooku. Things got messy. Vos fell to the dark side, Ventress sacrificed herself to save him, and her body was laid to rest on Dathomir. The twist? She was brought back from the dead using Night Sister magic, something the Bad Batch confirmed. So there's a lot of emotional weight and loose threads that fans really want to see tied up. And then there's Cad Bane. His history with a young Boba Fett was supposed to get a full arc in the Clone Wars, but it never made it to screen. We know the two had a legendary duel, one that left Bane with that iconic metal plate on his head and gave Boba his helmet dent. If Tales of the Underworld finally brings that showdown to life, fans are going to lose their minds. It also wouldn't be surprising to see a return of Quinlan Vos. In Obi-Wan Kenobi, it was confirmed that he survived Order 66 and is now helping Jedi escape the Empire through the hidden path. Given that Ventress is shown protecting a young Padawan in the trailer, her path could easily cross with Vos again. And considering their past, that's a reunion we'd all want to see. There's even a good chance we'll get a few more bounty hunters from the Clone Wars era, like C-21 High Singer and Latz Razzie, who were part of Boba Fett's crew. The poster hints at their appearance, which makes it seem like this miniseries might cover more ground than just one short arc for each character. Previous entries in the Tales of series used time jumps to explore different moments in a character's life, so there's a good chance we'll get that structure again. Hopefully, this lets them fully explore those long-lost storylines that fans have been asking about for years. With any luck, we'll not only get closure, we might get some jaw-dropping surprises too. Star Wars Visions Season 3, 2025 date TBA. Revealed during Disney's 2024 APAC Content Showcase, Star Wars Visions is making a big return with its third season sometime in 2025. This time, the anthology is going back to its roots, pure anime. After Season 2 explored global animation styles from places like India, South Africa, and Spain, Volume 3 is once again teaming up exclusively with top-tier Japanese anime studios. The first season blew fans away by blending classic Star Wars themes with stylized, energetic anime storytelling. Studios like Kamikaze Douga and Trigger gave us episodes that felt both fresh and mythic. Season 2 went international, which was a cool experiment, but some fans felt it lost a bit of that Season 1 magic. Now that we're heading back to all anime, expectations are high again. Big names like Kamikaze Douga, Kinema Citrus, Production IG, and Trigger are all back on board. These are the studios responsible for iconic projects like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and Ghost in the Shell. And joining the team are newcomers like David Production, Polygon Pictures, and Wit Studio, the folks behind hits like Attack on Titan and Ranking of Kings. With that lineup, you know the animation's going to be top-notch. Visions has always been about taking the familiar elements of Star Wars and remixing them through different cultural and artistic lenses. And while live action often plays it safe, this series dares to get weird, epic, and deeply emotional. It transforms the galaxy far, far away into a living art piece. Season 3 will carry that torch forward, and if the creators go all out, it might just be the best volume yet. The Mandalorian and Grogu, May 22nd, 2026. After what feels like forever, The Mandalorian and Grogu are making their jump to the big screen in 2026. It's been 7 years since the show premiered, and this movie marks the first time Din Djarin and Grogu will headline a theatrical Star Wars adventure. And here's the wild part. It looks like this film might bring back a major original trilogy character. Now, official plot details are being kept tightly under wraps, but there's already a pretty strong hint about what's coming, and weirdly enough, it comes from Disney Parks. That's right. The Mandalorian and Grogu are getting a brand new storyline added to the Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run ride at Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. And not just as an afterthought, the storyline debuts the exact same day the movie drops. For fans who know the theme park's lore, this is a big deal. Galaxy's Edge is usually locked into a very specific timeline set between The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker, so the fact that this new mission includes Din and Grogu, that means they're bending the rules, and probably for a good reason. What's really exciting is the possibility that Han Solo's ship, the Millennium Falcon, will be directly connected to the movie story. I mean, Din's original ship, the Razor Crest, is gone, so if he's flying alongside the Falcon, or maybe even in the Falcon, you gotta wonder, could Han Solo himself be making a return? It's speculation, sure, but there's definitely room for an older Han cameo, especially given how closely Din and Grogu's story is now tied to the original trilogy. The Mandalorian has always balanced nostalgia with new storytelling, and this movie seems like it's going to double down on that approach. Bringing the story to the big screen is a chance to show off not just bigger action, but deeper connections to Star Wars' past. And honestly, that's the kind of Star Wars story a lot of fans are dying to see. Ahsoka Season 2, 2026 TBA. When Ahsoka Season 1 wrapped up with that massive cliffhanger, a lot of fans were left wondering, is there going to be a second season, or will the story just continue in Dave Filoni's big Mandoverse movie? For a while, there wasn't a clear answer, but now we finally have confirmation Ahsoka Season 2 is officially happening. We still don't have an exact release date, but it's expected to drop sometime in 2026, most likely after the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, which is locked in for May 22nd, 2026. Filming for the second season actually started earlier than many expected, sometime around late March 2025. And considering the time it takes for all the post-production magic, especially with a show as effects-heavy as this one, a release in mid to late 2026 sounds about right. And recently things got even more interesting. Iman Esfandi, who plays Ezra Bridger, shared something on his Instagram story that seemed to hint he's already back at work for Ahsoka Season 2. Taika Waititi's Star Wars project, TBA. Now, shifting gears a bit. Remember when Disney said Taika Waititi was working on a Star Wars movie? Yeah, that's still a thing. Kind of. Waititi, the guy who directed Thor Ragnarok, is set to both write and direct a new Star Wars film. He's teaming up with Krysty Wilson-Cairns, who co-wrote 1917 for the script. But beyond that, not much is known. Back in 2021, Waititi said he had cracked the story, which sounded promising at the time. But fast forward a few years, and it's still unclear when, or if, this thing is going to get made. In May 2022, Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy said Taika's movie is supposed to be the next Star Wars film to hit theaters. There was even talk that it might take the December 2025 release slot. But in early 2025, Kennedy admitted she still hadn't seen a finished script from him. She did say, if we ever do get a script from Taika, it's going to be fantastic. Which is nice, but also not super reassuring. So yeah, it's not dead, but it's definitely in limbo for now. James Mangold's Dawn of the Jedi, TBA. While Taika's project is still floating in the galaxy of maybe, James Mangold's Dawn of the Jedi movie actually seems to be gaining some serious traction. Mangold, who directed Logan and Ford vs. Ferrari, is working on this prequel film that takes place further back in the Star Wars timeline than anything we've seen so far. He's co-writing it with Beau Willimon, who's known for House of Cards and Andor, so the script should have some weight behind it. Recently, during a press tour for his upcoming Bob Dylan biopic starring Timothée Chalamet, Mangold let slip that Dawn of the Jedi will start filming once that project wraps. So if everything goes according to plan, we could see production begin by the end of 2025. That's great news, because we haven't had a new Star Wars film in theaters since The Rise of Skywalker in 2019, and that one didn't exactly leave fans cheering. But with Dawn of the Jedi gaining momentum and the Mandalorian and Grogu movie also on the way, it feels like Lucasfilm is finally getting things back on track. This update is perfectly timed, especially with Star Wars Celebration happening in 2025. If filming really does begin later this year, we could be in for some big reveals and maybe even a teaser trailer around then. Rey's return in the new Jedi Order movie, TBA. What's special about this project is Daisy Ridley is coming back as Rey in Star Wars New Jedi Order. The film will be directed by Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy, who also worked on Ms. Marvel. This movie picks up after The Rise of Skywalker and will focus on Rey's efforts to rebuild the Jedi Order after the fall of Emperor Palpatine. Now, this project has had a bit of a bumpy road behind the scenes. Writers Damon Lindelof and Justin Britt Gibson were originally attached, but they've since exited. Then, Stephen Knight came on board, but he also left. As of early 2025, George Nolfi, who wrote The Bourne Ultimatum, is now the latest person working on the script. Even though the writer carousel has been spinning, Disney seems pretty committed to Rey as a character, so the movie is still in the works. It's just taking a bit longer than fans may have hoped. Sean Levy and Ryan Gosling's Star Wars movie, TBA. Here's a bit of a wild card. Sean Levy, the guy behind Stranger Things and The Atom Project, has a Star Wars movie in development too. And if the rumors are true, Ryan Gosling might be involved. This one wasn't on most fans' radar, partly because there hasn't been a lot of solid info about it. But recently, Jonathan Tropper, who's writing the movie, dropped an interesting hint. In an interview, Tropper said they're still working on the script and that it's their fourth project together, referring to Levy. He also said he hopes it's on the way sooner than you think, so even though he didn't give any details, it sounds like things are moving faster than we thought. This is especially surprising because not too long ago, this movie felt like one of those projects that might never materialize. But now, there are growing whispers that production could start this year. And with Kathleen Kennedy making some unexpected comments suggesting movement on the project, it might be one of the next films to actually hit theaters. Star Wars Rogue Squadron, TBA. Initially announced with Wonder Woman director Patty Jenkins at the helm, Rogue Squadron was meant to debut in theaters during the 2023 holiday season. Kathleen Kennedy described it as a high-octane adventure featuring a new generation of starfighter pilots, carrying on the beloved Rogue Squadron legacy while pushing the Star Wars saga into the future. However, by late 2021, the film was quietly removed from the production schedule, reportedly due to Jenkins shifting focus to Wonder Woman 3, a project that has since been canceled. Insider reports suggested ongoing creative differences played a role in the delay, a recurring theme for many recent Star Wars projects. In March 2023, Variety confirmed the film was no longer in active development. Yet, during an interview the following month, Kennedy left the door open, noting that Rogue Squadron is still being discussed, potentially as either a film or a series. The Mandalorian Season 4, TBA. While Season 4 of The Mandalorian hasn't been officially confirmed, it's still very much a topic of speculation, especially among the cast. Katie Sackhoff and Emily Swallow recently discussed the show's intense secrecy on Sackhoff's podcast, The Sackhoff Show. Both actors reflected on how little they're actually told about the future of the series, often genuinely not knowing what's next. Sackhoff shared that she often tells fans, "I can't tell you," and more often than not, that's because she genuinely doesn't know. Swallow echoed this, explaining that people frequently assume actors are in the loop, when in reality, they're often left guessing just like the fans. The secrecy isn't new for Star Wars. Even Ming-Na Wen once thought she was filming for The Mandalorian Season 3 when it was actually the Book of Boba Fett. This ironclad information lockdown is part of Lucasfilm's effort to protect surprises and plot twists. As for Season 4, the fact that it's being asked about, even by cast members, means the door isn't entirely closed. While many believe the upcoming The Mandalorian and Grogu movie might have replaced a potential fourth season, there's still hope that Season 4 could become a reality down the line. And that's a wrap for today's video. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next one.